Good evening and welcome to the Demolition Daily Livestream. I'm your host, as ever, Mark Anthony. Tonight I'd like to talk about the challenge of comparing apples with oranges and how the very notion of what constitutes the best in any specific field is very much open to interpretation. And we'll be right back after this. I'm a boxing fan. Scratch that, I used to be a boxing fan. Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard were both boyhood heroes of mine. I was lucky enough to grow up in the golden age of the heavyweight division, with Ali, Joe Frazier, and George Foreman going toe to toe for the biggest prize in sport. I'd get out of bed in the early hours of the morning to watch Mike Tyson knock over opponents so quickly that my bed was still warm when I got back in. Sadly, the modern fighters excite me far less. I've got no current interest in the lumbering monsters that make up the heavyweight division whatsoever, and I'd even struggle to name the welterweight or middleweight champions of today. Now, in my heart, I'd like to believe that prime Muhammad Ali would give the heavyweights of today a boxing lesson. That he'd be too quick, too clever, too good, and probably too pretty for the Anthony Joshuas and the Tyson Furies of this world. I'd also like to think that a prime Marvin Hagler would beat the granny out of Floyd Mayweather, if only to shut him up for a few minutes. But all of that is probably just my heart talking. In my head, I know that Ali would be outreached, outweighed, and outgunned by fighters of today that are better trained, that have better nutrition. I also know that Floyd Mayweather mastered the art of fighting in reverse gear, and that Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Tommy Hearns would probably have worn themselves out chasing him around the ring. But Ali, Frazier, Hagler, Leonard, Tyson, and many more besides were the best of their day. They proved it time and time again by beating whatever stood in front of them. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do. Beat whatever's placed in front of you. So last week saw the latest outing of the World Demolition Awards. I'm sure I could find the list of winners if I looked hard enough, but I haven't, because I've been questioning just how you discern the best in an industry as diverse and objective as demolition. I know that Erith Contractors picked up another World Demolition Award to add to their enormous collection, and I'm sure it was fully deserved. Erith is a great company. I'm sure all the others were deserving winners too. The judging panel was superb and was made up of people that really know their stuff, like my mate and co-author John Woodward. But how do you judge who's best in any demolition category? The demolition of a power station or a refinery or an oil rig or a city centre tower block is undeniably challenging. A demolition contractor will be expected to complete all of these contracts on time and within budget, while abiding by legislation, with zero accidents, with the lowest possible environmental impact and the highest possible recycling levels. Bizarrely, a demolition contractor taking down a house, or a shed, or a toilet block will be expected to attain precisely those same standards. Now, I'm not for one moment suggesting that demolishing a toilet block is on a par with demolishing a power station. Nor am I suggesting that a company that takes down a single house should be considered for a World Demolition Award, regardless of how artistically they've gone about it. But in demolition, just as in boxing, you can only beat that which is placed in front of you. Whether it's a tower block or a toilet block, the demolition contractor has to bring their A game. It has to meet, or better still, exceed customer expectations. It has to abide by whatever rules, regulations, and legislation that are prescribed for this task and for the region in which the demolition is actually taking place. And it has to make sure that all the workers return home safely to their families at the end of the day. That applies no matter how big the demolition company or how complex the contract. At one final point, going back to my boxing metaphor, even though true champions endure, history proves that they're not invincible. Leon Spinks beat Muhammad Ali, but no one would argue he was a better boxer. Buster Douglas unceremoniously dumped Mike Tyson on his backside, but the history books show that Tyson was the best heavyweight of his generation. All of which goes to show that even the best can be beaten. So while the World Demolition Awards were right to celebrate the achievements of the industry heavyweights, let's not forget the lesser known and up and coming contenders. They put in the same amount of hard work. They knock over everything placed in front of them. And on the right day, and in the right set of circumstances, they might just have the beating of their better known opponent. Ultimately, while demolition contractors compete with each other, their main component, or their main opponent rather, is the structure stood in front of them. Sometimes the battle is over almost as it begins. Sometimes the outcome is the result of a war of attrition. But sooner or later, the demolition contractor will emerge victorious. They might not have the trophies to prove it, but in my book, they're all champions. Now, sadly, I won't be here tomorrow or on Thursday. Don't worry, I'm not putting my feet up anywhere. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be hosting a special live show over on our Diggers and Dozers channel to look at some top secret new products from JCB. If you can find the time and you're that way inclined, we'd love to see you there. The more the merrier. It's going to be some exciting new products. I've already been tipped the wink on what a few of them are, so I would tune in if I were you. And then on Thursday, a miracle of miracles, I will actually be on a working site with one of the UK's finest demolition companies. So I won't be back here in front of a computer in time to broadcast. So until then, stay safe and just remember, all you can do is beat that which is placed in front of you. Wish I'd been speaking English tonight. It's been a tough one. I don't feel like I've had enough coffee today. So between now and Friday, stay safe, look after yourselves, look after your family, your friends and your colleagues. And I will see you same time, same place on Friday with more rambling tales to lay before you. Thanks for watching.